Now, you know, this is a retrospective, and this is part 2 of that retrospective of the MCU Retrospective in the retrospectively cinematic order of whatever the heck I feel like making it. It's a take 2 of it because I had already spent 20 minutes talking about this, but then I realized that I kept going off on tangents, which I'm probably going to do this time as well. But since the second take is the final take, if I do any long tangents, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Ooh, deal with it. This is Iron Man 2. This film is not as good as the first one, in my opinion. It has its moments, but it doesn't have the best film. It just feels like more Iron Man. That's basically what it is. It's just more of the first movie in a second movie. And Paramount admitted Disney did not come in to take over just about yet. It's Paramount's movie, and it is fantastic in its own way, I guess. It is a total blast if you were to watch it for the very first time. If you watched this for the very first time in 2009, you'd probably say this is a fantastic film. And then by 2010, when it came out on DVD and Blu-ray, you would have picked it up on DVD or Blu-ray, whichever one was cheaper for you at the time. DVD, obviously, for me. Hey! So, Iron Man 2 is it... the villain. Let's talk about the villain. This is Whiplash. And then there's another guy called Mr. Hammer. Are they good villains? Hammer's funny. He's got a lot of funny moments. He's not really a villain, so to speak. He's just like a nasty corporate guy. It's what if they took Obadiah from Iron Man 1 and split him into two people. You get the corporate guy who's comedic a little bit at times, and then you got the guy who's in a suit who fought Iron Man. That's basically what they did. They split Obadiah into two people. This is the suit Obadiah, and then Hammer is the businessman Obadiah. Yay! At least Hammer has more charisma. You know, he's got Hammer. He's got more charisma. Yeah, can't even remember what his name is. What's his name? I'm not going to try and remember. But he doesn't leave the best of impressions on me. He's just there to prove a point. At least the point I thought was pretty good. Because at the end of the first movie, Tony Stark says that he is Iron Man. But Iron Man seems like this ultimate godlike figure at the start. It's like a good deterrent to crime. And it reminds me of a certain caped crusader. This caped crusader. Batman. Now, Batman, when he first came onto the scene in Gotham City, he scared the bejesus out of the criminals. And for a good while yet, a lot of criminals did not do criminal activities out of a sheer deterrence of the Batman's existence. While Batman was just one man, you did not realize if he was in the shadows of the certain corner that you happened to be operating in. Everybody thought he was in every shadow, and nobody knew which one he was going to come out of, which is why everybody started to get paranoid and started to think twice before doing criminal activities. Batman's sheer existence was the deterrent to crime. But then you enter a supervillain who makes Batman bleed. Suddenly that reputation fades. Suddenly the criminals are reminded that the Batman is just a man. That is exactly what happens in this movie with Mr. Whiplash. Mr. Whiplash comes onto the screen and challenges Tony Stark's Iron Man suit, and he causes Tony Stark to bleed. On international television, the whole world gets to see that Tony Stark is still just a man. In fact, Whiplash here says, there's subtitles in case you can't understand him. He says, "Not God, not God," which is a whole philosophical thing saying that you are not the god. This Iron Man suit is not a god. It's just a man-made manufacturation. And I have made you realize that you are still just a man. And there is some history between these two people. Their respective fathers worked together. Howard Stark worked with another man to create a project, and then Howard Stark went on to take the credit for it. So there's some sins of the fathers going on here that Tony Stark has to deal with and finish a certain project that helps him with his chest radiation thingamajiggy, you know, so he fixes his chest radiation thingamajiggy, and it's great. Oh, there it is. It's right here. I keep pointing it here. I'm not really looking at the case. So, but once again, casting is perfect, except for maybe Don Cheadle. Well, I've gotten used to him since he's been consistently cast as Rhodey for the rest of the MCU. In the first movie, he was played by somebody else. So naturally, I can forgive the original actor who played Rhodey. He probably didn't think that this series would go on as long as it did. I certainly didn't either. But then when he got recast, he's probably regretting it by now, saying, I should have come back for that sequel. He probably said, I should have come back for that sequel. I should have quit whatever I was working on and come back for this. And it's like, he could have made a lot of money. Don Cheadle makes that money instead. There you go. Well, Don Cheadle is a good Rhodey. He kind of brings a different personality to the role. When I first watched this movie, I honestly thought they were two different people. With The Mummy 3, at least, when they recasted Evelyn, the lady, you could tell that this was Evelyn still. At least she says she was Evelyn, and it's like, alright, this is in your face, but okay, I didn't really like the recasting of Evelyn in Mummy 3, to be honest with you. But this one, I'm more okay with it, because Don Cheadle provides his own charisma to the role that the Evelyn recasting didn't offer to the role. The Evelyn recasting was just a mom. The other lady, Rachel Weisz, gave the Evelyn character a certain depth to her that the recasting failed to provide. She completely failed to provide it, and I didn't like it. At least here, when the recasting happened, Don Cheadle was able to provide a certain depth to Rhodey that the other Rhodey did not provide, but provided it in a different way. Now, if I'm going to be honest here, it's like saying there's two deep puddles, but they're two different puddles in two different places. They both have depth, but they're in different places. They're different puddles. That's basically what I'm trying to get at here. They're both great in-depth characters, but they're portraying them in different ways. So at least when you first watched Iron Man 2, you are kind of taken aback by this new performance, by this new interpretation of the character, and you're kind of wondering where the other Rhodey is. I honestly thought it was a different character for a long time. I honestly thought that there were two Rhodes, that there were two of them, that they might have been related, and they both were in the military, and the other one just kind of either died off screen or faded away, and then this new guy replaced him. That's what I thought. I always thought they were two different people, at least until about 2012 or so. And then I realized, oh, they just recasted him. Ugh. But it is what it is. Marvel, at least where the heroes are concerned, is perfect with this casting. So the story may not be the best, but when they cast characters, at least for the heroes, they are perfect. Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark is perfect. Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow is perfect. I want to talk about Scarlett Johansson right now. There's a reason why ScarJo as Black Widow is rated as one of the highest, most favorite Marvel heroines in the MCU. There's a reason from that. She offers the femme fatale personality. The Black Widow character is the femme fatale. She uses her feminine wiles to her advantage because she realizes a lot of men can be pigs, a lot of men can be terrible people, and she uses that in her job to beat the crap out of them, to get information out of them. She will use these terrible people to basically turn their own ruin upon them. She is fantastic at that. And she is also not portrayed as weak. She is portrayed as very competent, but in a way that you can understand is a different type of competency to, say, Tony Stark. She is competent in martial combat, martial prowess, but she's not as intelligent technologically wise as Tony Stark. Each people have their own strengths. Rhodey has his own tactical strength that Tony Stark lacks. Pepper Potts has some business savvy and other stuff that Tony Stark may also have, and that's why he trusts her with Stark Tech when he goes off to be Iron Man mostly. There's a lot of people here that do a lot of great things, and the casting for these characters and the writing for the first phase of the MCU was great. I thought it was fantastic. I thought these characters here were fantastic. I thought this character was a good recasting after I got used to the recasting of the character. Don Cheadle is amazing in this. Tony Stark will always be perfect in this. But there's something about the villains that just don't stick with me. Hammer is funny. He's funny. But he doesn't really offer the type of pizzazz that you would hope that he would offer to the role. And Whiplash is kind of just there. He's kind of just there at the end. The finale was kind of the most superhero-y thing you could have ever seen. It was pretty, and after the third or fourth viewing, you're like, alright, I'm done with the combat here. I'm kind of done with it. If I were to revisit this, I probably wouldn't, because I've seen it about 10 to 15 times. I like it, but like the first Iron Man movie, I am kind of just burnt out on it. The only one that I could watch again and again and again would be Iron Man 3, because I really like that movie. I like the Tony Stark character in that movie. I like the character journey, the arc that he goes on in that movie. It's fan-friggin-tastic. In this one, he doesn't really go on any type of character journey, really. He's just kind of there. Well, Nick Fury kind of puts him on some sort of character journey where he has a certain connection with his father that he has to figure out. And then once he figures out the connection that he has with his father, he can build the new chest piece for his heart, whatever, to keep the shrapnel out of his heart or whatever. And he builds the new power source for his suits, the infinite arc reactor, the perfected arc reactor. And that's his arc for the movie, but it doesn't really feel like a personality arc so much as a epiphany type of thing. Like how a scientist gets an epiphany in a lab. He doesn't really have a character arc, he just realizes something. That's okay, I guess, but it just feels episodic to me. These movies feel episodic to me. And before I go off on another 20 to 30 minute rant like I did in my previous take about the freaking TV show phenomenon that we have modern-wise, I'm gonna tell you right now, I will have one of those. It's just going to be in its own dedicated episode. I'm not gonna try to insert it into previous ones into that, no. But that's Iron Man 2. It's fine. It's not a bad movie. It's just one that I'm burnt out on, so I have a certain level of bias against it. But for those who have never seen it, if I could put my type of perspective into that mind of someone who has only seen the first Iron Man movie, would I like the second Iron Man movie? Yes, because I did. After watching the first Iron Man movie, when I came back to the theater to watch Iron Man 2, I liked it. I did. I really liked it. It's just I watched it so many times, I'm kind of sick of it. But the villains don't pull me. The villains don't keep it. That's one thing that really needs to that Marvel really needed to work on, was while they have their heroes as perfect casting, their villains tend to be just Saturday morning villain of the week type of characters. That's exactly what Obadiah was. That's exactly what Hammer and Whiplash were. They're villains of the week. You need somebody who carries that sort of charisma, that sort of arc of their own, that feels like they could be a recurring character. And in our next installment, Thor, we will talk about that character. Be imaginative, everybody.